With the biggest moves of free agency now behind us, it is now time to start looking forward to April, especially for the New York Jets. And while Joe Douglas has done an admirable job of putting a good roster around Zach Wilson, the Jets are relying on this draft to find some key pieces, especially on the offense. So here it is, our first 7-round mock draft of the draft season. We will have a lot more coming your way, but here it is, our first Rich Sports Talk New York Jets 7-round mock draft. With the 4th overall pick, I have the Jets going with KAYVON THIBODEAUX, the defensive end out of Oregon. I know there's been a lot of speculation around Thibodeau. I've been hearing that, but let's be honest, the Jets need an elite edge pass rusher. Robert Saleh has said that the Jets need a better pass rush. They've addressed it in some regards in free agency, but let's be honest, Thibodeau does have that high end, especially that speed rush coming off the edge. And while Aiden Hutchinson will likely be the first pick in the draft, in terms of just pure coming off the edge, Thibodeau might be the best one in the entire draft. I have him falling to 4 to the Jets. I have a feeling that between this and the Jets, either Kyle Hamilton, a quarterback, or the tackles are going to be taken between 2 and 3. So he falls to the Jets at 4. And I almost feel like a lot of the speculation around him is the hope that he falls outside the top 5. A team can get him later in the first, but the Jets are not going to pass on this talent, in my opinion. If they do love Jermaine Johnson, he could be a dark horse here just because the Jets did work with him at the Senior Bowl. Maybe they do feel like his motor might be a little bit better, but for now, I have the Jets going with Thibodeau and giving them an elite edge rusher that this team has sorely been lacking for basically over a decade. With the 10th pick in the draft, I have them going with TREYLON BURKS, the wide receiver out of Arkansas. Now, I think this is a pick the Jets are going to die to trade back from, get more assets. But here's the problem. I just don't see a player here that could maybe see a team move up. If Kyle Hamilton falls here, maybe. We've seen, because of the quarterbacks movement throughout the league, this is not a highly valued quarterback class. I don't see Malik Willis falling all the way to 10. And even if he does, I just don't see a team giving the Jets the type of offer that they really would like. So they go with TREYLON BURKS here. Now, it might come as a surprise, but really, I think he's the best fit for what the Jets want to do. I know he ran a 4.55 40, but you look at the versatility he brings, the ability to run the football out of the backfield, to line up all over the place. He's a big target on the outside, but he can do so much within the offense. And while there are receivers that are a bit faster, that might be more explosive, I don't think there's as many that are as versatile as him. And really, he just fits the scheme like a glove. Could be this team's version of Deebo Samuel. I really like him, and I do think the Jets are going to really invest in the playmakers, especially on the outside in this draft, because they didn't do it through free agency or a trade. Which brings me to their first pick in the 2nd round, Christian Watson, the wide receiver out of North Dakota State. Now, this might surprise a lot of people, but Joe Douglas, and you've heard the rumblings around the Jets, they want receivers to grow with Zach Wilson, and Watson gives them another big outside X receiver. And don't forget, Corey Davis is coming off an injury season. His contract is basically null and void at the end of the season. The Jets could get rid of him after next season, and the Jets could use some more receiving depth. I mean, you look, Jamison Crowder's walking, and I know they brought back Braxton Berrios, but it's clear they don't trust Denzel Mims. You can't have enough receivers on the outside. And when you look at Watson, there might not be a more physically gifted receiver in this entire draft. 6'4", 208 pounds, runs a 4.3 40, but also a 41-inch vertical at that height. He also, like Burks, versatile piece. You can move him around a bit. I just love the versatility he brings, the explosiveness, and really the biggest thing I loved watching this kid Mobile. For a kid his size, he is an unbelievable route runner. He runs great routes, and in this system, you want guys that can run great routes. And while Burks will need to work on that, Burks, they can utilize it a little bit more gadgetry. I can just see Watson competing to be on the field and getting significant reps and giving the Jets another elite weapon on the outside for Zach Wilson. The second round pick, I'm going with Travis Jones, the defensive tackle out of UConn. You're going to see a popular trend in this draft. A lot of these guys are players that the Jets coach at the Senior Bowl that they liked. Jones' stock has just been skyrocketing throughout the draft process, and I really love this kid. There's a chance he could even go in the 1st round, but the Jets get him here in the top end of the 2nd round. They lost Fontu Kasi. They need to improve the interior defensive line, and while they have improved the edge positions through free agency and for the first pick, they do need depth on the interior. I wouldn't be shocked if you see him go maybe even 2 defensive tackles in this draft at some point. But for now, they get Travis Jones. He's a plug-and-play player. He's a great two-down player that's going to be a good run blocker. And he's shown that he does have upside as a pass rusher. And don't forget, this is an ascending player who only played really 1 year because the year before missed the entire season because of the COVID outbreak. UCONN didn't play. I really like this kid's upside. He could be a good interior pass rusher. And then you get another physical specimen on the interior of that defensive line to pair with Quinnen Williams. And all of a sudden, this defensive line is going to be a handful. In the third round, I have the Jets going with Cole Strange, the interior offensive lineman out of Chattanooga. This is a little bit different because while a lot of these players will play significant time, Strange might not for the Jets, but because I have him so highly ranked, because of his great athleticism on the interior offensive line, because Joe Douglas loves offensive linemen, he'll be very hard to pass up here because he gives the Jets another great interior offensive line. And I understand the first thought, well, wait a minute, the Jets already have spent a bunch on guard. They have Elijah Vera Tucker, but Strange can be center. I think he can be this team's future center. You have McGovern hold down the position for a year while Strange gets comfortable in the system. But at the same time, he offers elite upside depth within the interior offensive line. And this is one way I do think the Jets can help protect themselves from a Mekhi Becton injury because they're not able to get one of the great tackle prospects early. And the strength of this offensive line class is the interior. And one possibility could be, let's say Mekhi Becton does get hurt. You could move, realistically, Elijah Vera Tucker out to tackle. He played it in college. He has the footwork to do that. And then you can plug Strange on the interior offensive line. So it's a bit different method than we thought the Jets could do to appeal to the depth of the offensive line. But Strange, for this season, is a valuable depth piece. But in my opinion, he could be the center of the future for the New York Jets because while they will consider Linderbaum at 10, they want to make sure they can get a playmaker for Zach Wilson. Day 3 of the draft, the 4th round, I have them going with Hassan Haskins, the running back out of Michigan. It's clear that the Jets want to get a good 1-2 punch in the backfield. They really like Michael Carter. Haskins compliments him because he's a great pass protector. Like you saw him at the combine, great on the bench press. He smacks kids when they try to get to the quarterback. Great in pass protection, valuable for a young quarterback. And he doesn't have the top end speed and the explosiveness of a Michael Carter, but highly productive. 1,300 yards in college last year, consistent running back, a bit of more of a workhorse power back, but still able to hit that one cut and get to the hole. I really like him as a compliment. He's a little bit different running back. Carter's a little bit more explosive, but this is someone that you could give the ball to 10, 12 times a game, can run the ball in between the tackles, and also, just as importantly, protect your young quarterback because he's an unbelievable pass protector. And the other 4th round pick, I have been going with Jake Ferguson, the tight end out of Wisconsin. I had the Jets really in the previous ones going earlier for the tight end position, but because of the free agency moves, it's not as much a priority, but they're still going to draft a tight end. I really like Jake Ferguson, but he's probably going to fall to day 3 because you look at the tight ends, a lot of great 40s. His was a 4.7, and while that isn't great, you watch his tape, he plays well above the speed. He's great in contested catches. He's good over the middle of the field, really good route runner, really good in blocking. I really like, he's a really good prospect. He really just seems to me to fit this scheme, what you want at tight end, someone that can do everything, block, run good routes. And while the Jets want a lot of yak guys, and he might not be the best yak guy, he does have enough playmaking ability to make plays at the tight end position and gives this position that has been woeful at depth a much needed guy. And look, this could be someone that could be a potential starter. And the comp on him is Dalton Schultz, someone that the Jets really would have wanted in free agency before he was tagged by the Dallas Cowboys. 2 picks in the 5th round. The first one, I have them going with Ali Fayad, the defensive edge from Western Michigan. Twitchy edge rusher, a bit on the smaller side, but he has an incredible high motor, really did great in the East-West Shrine game. Another FCS prospect, but a player that can be a good rotational defensive end, could maybe even eventually be a starting defensive end in this league. And we saw it last year. The injuries, when this team lost their pass rush with their injuries to Lawson, to Curry, to Huff, it changed the complexion of this defense. You can never have too many pass rushers. And also, Robert Saleh, he wants these guys to be fresh. He's not going to play them 80% of the snaps. He wants to play about 60% of the snaps. This gives them more depth at the pass rush position. And don't forget, Carl Lawson, we're expecting a big season, but he is coming off an Achilles. It might take him a while to get going. So being able to have other players that can step up if he's not ready to go, or at least not really hitting his stride at the beginning of the season, is important. And Robert Saleh, has always stressed how important his pass rush is. So they get another good pass rush prospect here on day 3. And finally, ZANDER HORVATH, the fullback out of Purdue. Now, wait, I know a lot of people are screaming, well, what about a corner? What about a safety? The Jets have addressed those positions in free agency. I believe they feel that they have enough depth there. If anything, maybe a defensive tackle. But don't forget, what are they trying to do? They are trying to turn this into a San Francisco-style offense. And Kyle Juszczyk has been vital to that success in San Francisco. They have a chance to get that type of player in ZANDER HORVATH. Now, he falls here because he did come off a broken fibula. If his physicals check out, I would be running to the podium here on day 3 to get him because he is a vital fullback. And don't forget, people are going to overlook this position, but for what the Jets want to do, for the Jets that want to run the football and have versatility on their offense, HORVATH fits like a glove because we're talking about someone that not only can block, but he was averaging 4.6 yards a carry, and even better, he's an underrated receiver, 9 yards per reception. So you're talking about a fullback that can block, that can run, and oh, by the way, catch. This gives another fun chess piece for LaFleur to move around, line up a tight end, line him up in the backfield. All of a sudden, the Jets, they might not have an elite number 1 receiver. They might not have a big-time player on this offense, but they have a lot of versatile pieces that you can move around and really make it tough for a defense to adjust. And that's our episode. Thank you so much for joining us here on Rich Sports Talk. If you want more Jets draft content, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of our content, especially more mock drafts as we head toward the 2022 NFL Draft in Las Vegas. What do you think about these picks? Make sure to comment below. And also, if you subscribe, make sure to check out our community page. We have a bunch of polls there, and we love to get your interaction on how to grow the channel and what videos you would like to see going forward. But until next time, I'm Nolan Rich, and this is Rich Sports Talk. Thank you so much for joining us.